The Parker family's annual business summit always took place in Uncle Richard's penthouse, perched 49 floors above the chaos of Manhattan. But this year, the view wasn't just scenic, it was my vantage point for revenge. "Let's not dance around it," Uncle Richard began, looming at the head of the long conference table. "Our family name has been tarnished by certain members who failed to uphold the Parker legacy of excellence." All eyes snapped to me, Emma Parker, the so-called family failure, sitting quietly at the far end of the table in my modest black blazer. My cousin Sophia had already scoffed at it, whispering about discount store chic. If only she knew this blazer had been tailored in Milan. "Emma," Uncle Richard continued, his tone steeped in rehearsed disappointment, "it's been 5 years since you walked away from Parker Financial." 5 years of what, exactly? What have you accomplished? I thought about the papers in my briefcase. About the sleek 60-story building across the street, windows still veiled for tomorrow's grand reveal. About the Parker independent empire that would soon shine against the skyline. "I've been working on a few projects," I said, calm but deliberate. Blake, freshly minted as senior VP, snorted audibly. "Projects? You mean hiding in your apartment, tinkering with code?" 5 years earlier, I had resigned from Parker Financial to launch my own tech company. My family had never forgiven my betrayal of a century-long financial dynasty. "Emma," my father chimed in, avoiding eye contact, "we worry about you. All these years wasted on hobbies. It's time to return to the real world." The real world. Like Parker Financial's faltering trading systems. Like their shrinking market share as competitors, armed with the very innovations I had spent half a decade perfecting, surged ahead. "Actually," I began, but Uncle Richard cut me short. "No more excuses," he snapped. "You're 32. While your cousins manage billion-dollar portfolios, you're, what? Writing apps in pajamas?" Snickers echoed around the table. Sophia tapped away on her phone, no doubt sharing the latest family humiliation with her social circle. "Richard," my mother tried, "perhaps." "No, Caroline," he dismissed her with a wave. "Emma, you're nothing. A stain on the Parker name." My phone buzzed. Message from my assistant, "Final inspection complete. Building ready for tomorrow's unveiling." Perfect timing. "Do you know what Blake achieved this year?" Uncle Richard pressed on. "A $300 million merger. Sophia's division brought in $150 million. And you? Likely still living off your trust fund." If only they knew I had rejected that trust fund 3 years ago. That I had built an empire worth more than Parker Financial's entire portfolio. "Actually, Uncle Richard," I said softly, "I wanted to update you on my work." "Update?" Blake scoffed. "Please. We all know you haven't done anything real since leaving the family." My phone buzzed again. "CFO, stock transfers complete. Controlling interest acquired in all target companies." I glanced out the window at the covered building. In less than 24 hours, my name would shine atop it, visible from every corner of Manhattan's financial district, including this very room. "Emma," Uncle Richard said, voice dripping false concern, "this rebellion has gone far enough. You're nothing without the Parker name." Nothing. The same word they had spat at me when I resigned, when I refused the trust fund, when I started my company with nothing but my savings and a game-changing trading algorithm. The Parker family's yearly business meeting always took place in Uncle Richard's penthouse, perched 49 stories above Manhattan. But this year felt different. This year, I had an unrivaled view of my long-awaited revenge. "Let's cut to the chase," Uncle Richard said, standing at the head of the conference table. "Some members of this family have tarnished the Parker reputation by failing to live up to our standard of excellence." Every eye turned to me. Emma Parker, the family disappointment, seated quietly at the far end of the table in my understated black blazer, already the target of Sophia's whispers about discount store fashion. If only they knew this blazer had been tailored in Milan. "Emma," my uncle continued, his voice steeped in feigned disappointment, "it's been 5 years since you left Parker Financial. 5 years doing, what, exactly? What accomplishments do you have to show for your rebellion? I thought about the documents tucked in my briefcase, about the gleaming 60-story building across the street, its windows still covered for tomorrow's unveiling, and about the name that would soon light up the Manhattan skyline. I've been working on a few projects, I said calmly. Blake, newly promoted senior VP, snorted. Projects? You mean hiding at home, tinkering with code? 5 years ago, I had walked away from my executive role at Parker Financial to launch a tech company. My family had never forgiven what they saw as a betrayal of a 100-year financial dynasty. Emma, my father said quietly, avoiding my gaze, we're worried about you. All these years spent on this hobby. It's time to return to the real world. The real world. Like Parker Financial's struggling attempts to modernize. Like their declining market share as tech-savvy competitors surged ahead. Like the innovations I had spent 5 years perfecting. Actually, I began, but Uncle Richard cut me off. No more excuses, he snapped. You're 32. While your cousins handle billion-dollar portfolios, you're, what? Writing apps in pajamas? Snickers circled the table. Sophia tapped furiously on her phone, likely broadcasting the family drama. Richard, my mother interjected, perhaps we should. No, Caroline, he waved her off. Emma, you're a failure. A stain on the Parker name. My phone buzzed, a message from my assistant, final inspection complete. Building ready for tomorrow's unveiling. Perfect timing. Do you know what Blake achieved this year? Uncle Richard pressed. A $300 million merger. Sophia's division brought in $150 million. And you? Probably still living off your trust fund. If only they knew I had refused that trust fund 3 years ago. That I had built an empire exceeding Parker Financial's entire portfolio. Actually, Uncle Richard, I said quietly, I wanted to talk about my recent work. Recent work? Blake interrupted. Please. We all know you've done nothing since leaving the family. Another buzz, this time from my CFO, stock certificates transferred. You now own controlling interest in all target companies. I glanced out the window at the covered building. In less than 24 hours, my name would crown it, visible from every corner of Manhattan's financial district, including this office. Emma, Uncle Richard said, voice softening with false concern, this rebellion has gone on long enough. You're nothing without the Parker name. Nothing. Nothing. The same word they had used when I resigned, refused the trust fund, and built a company from nothing but savings and a groundbreaking trading algorithm. Perhaps you're right, I said, letting Sophia believe she had won. Perhaps we should discuss my future at Parker Financial. Uncle Richard smiled triumphantly. Finally. We could find you an entry-level role, something appropriate for your limited experience. My phone buzzed once more, all systems go. Building lights ready. Your empire awaits, Miss Parker. I thought of the press release scheduled for tomorrow, the headlines that would shock the financial world, the look on Uncle Richard's face when he realized his nothing of a niece had built something monumental. Before we discuss my position, I said, there's one small matter to address. Of course, Uncle Richard waved magnanimously. Though entry-level salaries are limited. I smiled, reaching for the cord to the motorized blinds. Actually, I had something a bit more visible in mind. Sometimes, the best revenge doesn't require words. It requires the perfect view. I pulled the cord. Sunlight flooded the room as the blinds lifted. Uncle Richard began to speak, then fell silent. Across the street, the building's covers dropped, revealing gleaming glass and steel. Floor by floor, the facade sparkled in the setting sun. At the top, illuminated letters, Parker Technologies. Beneath it, founder and CEO, Emma Parker. Silence. Even Sophia's phone hovered midair. That's your company, my father whispered. I smiled, watching their reflections in the glass. My so-called hobby, no longer a hobby. Impossible, Uncle Richard muttered. That building, it's the tech hub that's revolutionizing trading. The one that now controls 6 major financial institutions. I slid my tablet across the table. Would you like to see the portfolio? Blake's face paled as he scrolled, 10 billion in assets, 15 patents, licensed trading algorithms. You own half of Wall Street. Half of Wall Street's technology, I corrected. The rest still runs outdated systems, like Parker Financial's. Uncle Richard sank into his chair. All those merger offers, shell companies owned by Parker Technologies? Confirmed, I said. I wanted to see how often you'd reject your niece's attempts to save your company. Save our company? Sophia scoffed. I pulled up another document. Your Q2 earnings say otherwise. Your tech is 10 years behind. Key clients are leaving. Your AI trading system wasted millions. How do you know that? Uncle Richard demanded. Nothing is confidential to the company that built your security, I replied, turning to admire my name against the skyline. Did they really think I had wasted 5 years? My phone buzzed, COO, stock market closing in 3 minutes. Ready to announce the acquisitions, I leaned forward. While you were busy mocking my code, I was building the most sophisticated fintech firm on the planet. While you laughed at my apartment experiments, I was writing algorithms that make your trading platform look prehistoric. I rose and crossed to the window. The city stretched below, and for the first time in years the view felt like mine. And while you labeled me nothing, I was becoming everything you pretended to be but never were: inventive, future-facing, and profitable. Why? My father asked, voice small. Why keep it from us? Would we have listened? I turned slowly, meeting each of their faces. 5 years ago I told you fintech was the future, that Parker Financial needed to change. What did you say, Uncle Richard? He wouldn't meet me. You told me to leave the real business to people who understand it. Well, I understood it better than any of you. I saw the direction of the industry while you clung to habits and history. My phone vibrated. Market closed. Press release going live in 60 seconds. The chorus of alerts at the table started like distant thunder. Blake was the first to read one aloud, voice trembling. Breaking, Parker Technologies announces acquisition of 6 major financial institutions. Industry sources call it the largest tech takeover in Wall Street history. No, Sophia breathed, scrolling. No, no, no. Headlines proliferated across their screens: Emma Parker, the fintech visionary who transformed trading. Parker Technologies valued at $50 billion after latest acquisitions. Wall Street's new queen. How Emma Parker built an empire while her family slept. Oh, and by the way, I said, cool as a closing bell, those acquisition filings include a hostile takeover, controlling interest in Parker Financial. The board approved it this morning. Uncle Richard shot to his feet. The board would never. They already did. I cut him off. They were impressed by the demo, especially how outdated your systems look next to ours. I picked up my briefcase and walked the length of the table. Effective immediately, Parker Financial will be reorganized as a subsidiary of Parker Technologies. Executive roles will be audited, most will be eliminated. You're firing us? Blake's voice shattered. From our own company? Think of it as my entry-level position, I said. You can't do this, Uncle Richard sputtered, face flushed with disbelief. We're family. Family? I laughed, sharp. The same family that called me nothing, ridiculed my work, and refused to listen. I headed for the door and paused. Oh, and Uncle Richard, your penthouse office. My engineers suggested it would make an excellent server hub. The aftermath was glorious chaos. Sophia wept into her phone. Blake dialed brokers with shaking hands. My father sat frozen, eyes fixed on the glowing letters on the building across the street. At the elevator, my mother caught up to me. Emma, please. Come back. We can fix this. I stepped inside, looked at her, and said, Mom, I didn't leave the family. I just built a better one. The doors closed. From the lobby, I heard Uncle Richard's anguished cry as another wave of alerts rolled in, Parker Financial's stock plunging while Parker Technologies climbed. Outside, my driver held the car door. To the office, Miss Parker. I glanced at my name shining on the Skyline and said, James, take me home. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Uncle Richard, we were wrong. Please let's talk. I deleted it without reading and watched him through the glass, a solitary silhouette against the lights of an empire he could no longer control. Sometimes you don't convince people you're right. You let them watch your name shine, and it does the convincing for you. Being nothing was simply the first move toward becoming everything they never imagined.